Right, let's jump straight in. Welcome to this explainer, designed specifically to turbocharge your GCSE Religious Studies revision. We're going to decode the key architectural symbols of church buildings today. Have you ever walked past a church and thought, why does it look exactly the way it does? Why the massive towers, the cross layouts, or even those really modern circular designs? Well, none of it is an accident. We're going to look at exactly how these physical spaces brilliantly manifest deep Christian beliefs, acting as 3D representations of the faith itself.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The architecture of belief. 2. Pointing upwards with towers and domes. 3. Facing east in the cruciform shape. 4. Stories in stained glass. 5. Modern shifts and circular communities. And finally, 6. Connecting space and spirit.
Okay, Section 1. The architecture of belief, setting the visual baseline.
Out of all the buildings in any town or village, traditional churches are absolutely among the most recognizable. You can spot them a mile off. Think of the exterior almost like a movie trailer for the faith that's practiced inside. Everything from the steep roof right down to the graves outside acts as a literal, physical representation of the spiritual activities happening indoors.
Moving right along to Section 2, pointing upwards, towers and domes.
So why go to all the effort to build to such extreme heights? Practically speaking, a tall tower acts as a sort of giant stone megaphone. It's a beacon for the town, housing the bells that literally call the community to worship. But spiritually, it's much more profound than that. Think of these steeples and vaulted ceilings as actual fingers pointing upwards, a structural connection with God that symbolizes the congregation's prayers actually rising up to heaven.
All right, Section 3. Facing east, the cruciform shape.
Now you absolutely have to remember this key term for your GCSE revision, cruciform. It literally means cross-shaped. By building in a cruciform layout, it means when you walk in, you are essentially worshiping inside a giant 3D map of Jesus' sacrifice. The building itself becomes a constant structural reminder of that specific event.
And it's really not just a shape, it's the orientation. Churches traditionally face east. But why? Well, first, it follows traditional Jewish practice. Second, facing east means facing towards Jerusalem, and crucially towards the sunrise. And third, because the sun rises in the east every single morning, it serves as this incredibly powerful daily natural reminder of Jesus' resurrection. It perfectly brings the architecture into harmony with the rotation of the earth to tell a theological story.
Let's look at Section 4, stories in stained glass. It's pretty easy to look at stained glass and just think about how it beautifies the space of God. But historically, stained glass windows were essentially the comic books, or really the IMAX screens of the Middle Ages. They served an absolutely vital educational purpose. By displaying key Bible stories and depicting the lives of saints, they taught the faith to a congregation that, quite honestly, often couldn't read. The light passing through the glass literally illuminated the teachings for them.
Section 5. Modern shifts, circular communities.
Now you might be wondering, do all modern churches still look like that traditional cross-shaped model? The short answer is no, not at all. Following the Vatican II Council in the Catholic Church, alongside some broader shifts across Christianity, the focus shifted away from the towering and majestic to the much more intimate and communal.
Notice the massive contrast. Traditional churches use that highly decorated cruciform shape pointing upwards to highlight Jesus' death. But modern churches lean heavily into circular or horseshoe shapes. The buildings are significantly simpler, with way fewer decorations. It's really less about overwhelming the senses with grandeur, and much more about creating a focused, shared environment.
A circular layout or horseshoe design isn't just an architectural fad either. It's an unending shape specifically designed to show the eternity and oneness of God. Think of it like sitting around a campfire instead of sitting in a formal lecture hall. This modern shape physically wraps the community together. It emphasizes the church as a gathered family, looking at each other around an altar.
Let's bring it all together in Section 6, connecting space and spirit.
Despite all these modern shifts towards simpler, circular buildings, some things definitely remain constant. Crosses and other key symbols continue to be used extensively as anchors. Even in a highly modern, minimalist room, these symbols immediately identify the space as a Christian environment, seamlessly connecting the modern community right back to those ancient traditions.
I really want to leave you with this final, vital question for your revision. Think about how the physical layout, whether it's a soaring tower making you look up in awe or a circular room wrapping you in community, actively shapes the spiritual experience. The next time you walk past a church, look at its shape, check out its windows, look up at its towers, try to read the visual story it's telling you. Because in church architecture, absolutely nothing is just for show. Every single brick is a belief made visible. Good luck with your revision.